well, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Sean, and I'm excited to welcome you to our extravaganza today. We're going to be talking about email marketing and why email marketing is still king. As everybody's getting on the Zoom or on Facebook, I always like to start out by sharing a little bit about the Small Business Development Center program for those who might not be aware about the program. In a nutshell, it's a grant-funded program to help small businesses either get started or grow. We're funded by the University of Verne, the Small Business Administration, and the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development with a very simple mission. And that's to help you get started or grow. And we do it two ways. We do workshops and webinars just like this, and then we supplement the workshops and webinars with free one-on-one consulting to help you put into practice, hopefully, some of the things you learned in today's webinar. So later on in the broadcast, we're going to talk about how to access or sign up for consulting. But the short is, if you're watching this on Zoom, you are already a client of the SBDC, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and give us a call, and we can schedule you to meet with one of our consultants based on your need. If you're watching this on Facebook, you have one extra step to do. You got to visit us online at lavernesbdc.org, and we'll put all this in the chat in just a bit. But sign up to become a client. Then we pair you up with one of our consultants, depending on what you need help with. We have a saying in the office, helping businesses get from A to B. But every business is different, and their A and their B are going to be different. So for those that are watching today that might be more in the bucket of like starting a business, just getting started, we tend to help a lot with business plans and budgeting. I know, not the most fun thing to think about, but it's definitely relevant as we talk about marketing, because you can't talk financials without talking, or marketing without talking financials, I should say. But budgeting and business planning, licenses and permits, market research, these are some of the core areas we tend to focus on for starting a business. All the way down the line to those that are watching today's broadcast that are an established business, maybe you've been doing it for a number of years, and now we're talking getting the word out to more of your customers, growing your business through marketing, as well as access to capital. Do you need loans? And even government contracting for the businesses that are trying to target public, state or federal agencies. We have consultants that focus on a variety of different topics, and we're here to help, and all for free. So definitely take advantage of our programs, not just our workshops and webinars, but also the consulting that we use to support them. So, but as we get started, I always like to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. If you're like me, whenever you join a webinar, you're constantly looking for the buttons like, am I on mute? Can you hear me? I'm talking to the computer thinking like, waiting for a response. No, we cannot hear you. Only you can hear us. But we want to get your questions answered. So we do need to hear from you. And we want to hear from you in the Q&A feature on Zoom. If you're watching this on Zoom, use that Q&A feature to chat in your, not chat, but submit your questions. We're going to be taking time throughout the broadcast to make sure you get your questions answered, because that's what we're here today. Learn, but also get your questions answered. If you're watching this on Facebook, please use the comment feature to get your questions in there, because Josh and Sophia are going to be helping us moderate the questions. And be sure to give us a like, a comment, a thumbs up, a share, share the love, right? We got a lot of good stuff for you today. And of course, the slides will be shared after today for those who registered for the event and are watching on Zoom. So look for that follow-up email. And if you can't stick around for the whole presentation, we've still got you covered. We're going to be recording this. We're streaming to Facebook, but we'll be posting it there immediately after the workshop, but also on our YouTube channel. So make sure you join us there, because we're always putting out great content. So with those housekeeping items out of the way, it is my distinct honor to introduce to you today's speaker. Her name is Louise Brewer, and she's a marketing consultant with our awesome University of Verne SBDC. She focuses on, of course, marketing plans, social media, website development, and today's topic is email marketing. She really has worked with a ton of different businesses, large and small, but the small ones hold a place in her heart because she herself is a business owner herself, doing this in her own practice, so she can empathize and with what it's like to run a business. And well, without further ado, I want to turn it over to the one and only Louise Brewer.
Thank you, Sean. That
Crowd
was
goes
really
wild.
I know, right? No, I'm just kidding. Hi, everybody. So glad you're here. Yes, my name is Louise Brewer, and I'm the marketing consultant at SBDC. Like Sean said, I do work with all marketing fronts with businesses of all sizes. Just to give you a little bit of background, I would have had the opportunity to work with like Fortune 500 companies, but like what I do now is I pretty much work with small businesses because I feel like small businesses always feel like they need a Fortune 500 company to do marketing, but you don't necessarily. The only difference is time and money, which are huge differences, but you can make it work as a small business owner, given that you've given up everything to run these small businesses. So we're going to focus on email marketing today because basically during the pandemic, and I'll share my screen soon, but the reason I thought about this was because one, during the pandemic, everyone switched online, right? So I'm sure like if you're a business owner who was doing a brick and mortar or a restaurant, like, or a farmer's market or whatever you were doing at that point in time, you were relying heavily on just like the people who walked in, organic traffic. And then before you knew it, you're like, I have to take my business online. And the ways you did that was website, social media, and then there's email. One of the things I feel like that gets lost in the shuffle of everything is email marketing. And up to this day, I still think it's a very, very important tool to have in your overall marketing toolkit. And it's something that I feel like whenever I do meet with businesses from the SBDC, I'm like, you know, everyone's focused on getting followers for Instagram, which is great, you know, clicks and everything. But I was just like, what's your email list look like? And they're like, and the response I get is, oh, I haven't worked on that yet. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting because that's one of the biggest, it's one of the most effective selling tools for marketing and for small businesses. And like, even if you have a list of 10 to 500 to 1,000, like those are 10, 500 or 1,000 customers who are actually engaged enough to sign up for your email list. So I wanted to hone that in, especially for those who are seasoned or who are not, or just like getting started. I think like this is just a gentle reminder of how I feel like you should be running your business and not just focusing on, oh, do I need to get a lot of followers or likes, or no one's buying off of my Instagram handle, or, you know, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Pinterest, I'm trying to do TikTok. It's like, hold on a second. Why don't we focus on your current list and the people that you could potentially reach through email marketing? So I'm going to share my screen. And all right, so I'm sure you could see it and I won't be able, oh, I still see me. Great. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go through a few slides right now. Clearly, like Sean already nailed it with the introductions for the SBDC. Again, like these services are free to you guys. So, you know, whatever you need, whether it's business planning, just some mentorship, guidance with marketing or whatever, like we're here for you. And the reason we do it is because we love small business owners and the entrepreneurial spirit. So this is my contact information should you want to reach me personally. And like my information is there. If you call Josh or Sophia, they will set you up with me if it's the right fit for your marketing needs. But if you wanted to jot that down immediately so that you don't forget, because people tend to, it's like, what was that girl's name again? So that's me. So we're going to go into why email marketing is still king. I'll take pauses just to answer some Q&As throughout the session after each like section. But, you know, it's fairly self-explanatory. I'm not like, a few things to always keep in mind, like when it comes to marketing, is nothing is new under the sun. Okay. Marketing is repeated, just like fashion trends from the 90s, right? 90s trends will always come back. Marketing trends will always be recycled. There's just different methods to do it. So I hope I'm just managing your expectation. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't learn anything mind blowing. It's more common sense, logical, like lean operations. That is like, I think is very important, especially as a small business owner. And this goes for me and this goes for you and the clients that I do have the pleasure of working with, right? So let me minimize me. Okay, so today we'll discuss the importance of email marketing, open rates, boosting open rates, best practices, tools, and resources. Okay. I have to click on it. Okay. So the impact of email marketing. So to give you just to shed some light on email marketing, there are 3.9 billion users as of 2019, which means it's going to grow, you know, in terms of everyone's going to have an email, like 4.3 billion users are going to have emails in 2023. Okay. In 2019 alone, 293.6 billion emails were sent and received each day. So this is going to increase to 347.3 billion in 2022. And so pretty much next year. And the reason email marketing is so impactful is email delivers a strong ROI, which is return of an investment, just so you know. Email marketing helps grow your business. Welcome emails have a high open rate. And email marketing allows you to market to actual data you actually have. And I emphasize that the very last one, it's because when you exchange an email address, that's data you have, whether it's through you, like at an exchange at a restaurant, or someone just gives you a business card, or even, and this is going to sound really funny, but like, you know, you decide to start your own small business that like, you're like, oh, I finally started my small business, but I have all these emails that I've connected with in the real estate industry from the past. Do I use those emails? You absolutely do, because those are your contacts that were given to you. And, you know, one of the things I always tell my clients, and I always do it too, is what does your email list look like? Where do you get those email addresses? And like, do you have, I'm pretty sure like throughout your entire career, like since you were 18, you've been communicating with people via your Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, whoever you've been communicating with, you've been building this list. It just hasn't been formalized. So basically, once you open a business, once you start any venture, who are you going to tell besides the 5 people you have on social media? Your email list. So, you know, always keep that in mind. Like everyone is a contact, everyone could be a potential consumer. And even if they're not, they can tell a friend. So keep that in mind. And so that's something like I really, really value when it comes to the impact of email marketing. When I say an email delivers a strong ROI, that means that you can have a list of 500 people, okay? And then email, you can market to them on a weekly basis about whatever you're selling, whatever service you're offering. And if you get one conversion, that's a one transaction to that one email you sent, or maybe 5 emails you sent. So maybe it takes 5 emails to send, it takes 5 emails to close a deal. It takes 5 emails to have someone click on your shopping cart, right? And then what you would do is you would track that shopping cart and you'd be like, okay, this person from Missouri, Kansas, Missouri, clicked on my shopping cart. I'm gonna go and try to retarget them exactly. And so during this workshop, we'll definitely go over just like retargeting practices in terms of best practices. But those are just a few things I really, really value about email marketing. One of the things that you should definitely consider when it comes to email marketing is your open rates. And am I going too fast? Okay. All right. So your open rates, okay? So let's talk about open rates. What is an open rate? An open rate is the equivalent to unique opens by sent emails and possibly bounced emails. So if you have a list of 500 people, you'll see if you're using like an email marketing tool, you'll see like, oh, it's 10% or 5%. That means 5% of the people opened your email. And pretty much like you want to increase that number, right? And so what does it matter if you're not opening your emails, you're doing it wrong. And what is your goal open rate? It always depends. Real estate industry, their open rates are naturally on the smaller end, on the lower end, like about 13 to 15%. Restaurant industry is about the 18s. Shopping industry, the retail is normally like in the 20s and the 20%. But here's a funny thing. If you're in the real estate or commercial or anything to do with like home loans or investments, that actually might be going high just because of where the market is right now. And those are like important practices that I will be touching on throughout later on. So I hope I don't forget, but basically trends matter when it comes to your open rate and what's happening in the economy, what's happening in people's lives, what events are happening. So like, for example, 4th of July is coming up. I'm pretty sure you guys have been working. I'd like to say like you guys have your 4th of July campaigns ready to go, right? Or like some sneak peeks or some teaser. So there are some ways to boost your open rate. So just segmenting. Segmenting means you divide your audience based on behavior. And so if you're not familiar with segmenting, and if you're not using an email tracker, that's going to be in the list of the tools and resources. So for one example, I use constant contact for one of my clients. Every morning I send them an email from Wednesday through Thursday. I send their list an email every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. What I do is I have an opt-in, or I have a reminder that resends automatically, that has a setting that resends automatically the first, whatever time you want, to those who have not opened your email. Okay, it's a simple trigger. It's very user-friendly. You just got to toggle it at the very bottom of your dashboard when you are scheduling an email. That's one. Okay, the second way to segment someone is you would go to your contacts and you would say, okay, I want to separate those who read my email, and then you would be able to do an if and. So the way you would segment through constant contact is like, I want to select from this list. So from the master list, the people who have received this email and the people who have clicked this email, okay? So that's your segment. You've already like divided them and you've already chosen a specific segment. And then what you would do is you would just set it like segment of unopened emails. And then that's how you would retarget your emails again for those types of segmenting. So segmenting just simply means dividing the audience up by behavior. Those who've opened your emails, those who have not read it, those who have clicked on your emails, those who have responded, those who click around the most links. That's the beauty about like things like Constant Contact and MailChimp, which we'll go over towards the end. You're able to track the activity of your users. And that's another amazing thing about email marketing, which I didn't even include. When you have an email marketing tool, it tracks behavior better than social media. So you're able to know exactly what that person is doing. So if they read your emails, if they disregard, if they unsubscribe, if they click on something, that's how you can segment and choose your audience. Subject lines. It's a given. Your subject lines have to be compelling. Your subject lines have to be worth and open, and people's inboxes get flooded all the time. Like some people even have, like people have their work emails, their personal emails, their spam emails, right? So you sign up for Macy's or Nordstrom.com, you'll get an email every day from Nordstrom. You get an email every day from Old Navy. And chances are you're not going to click on it, but normally what you click on are the sales. So subject lines are really, really important. Consider the number of emails you send. Depending on your list size, you can send emails daily, once a week, or once per month. People are really like, oh, I don't want to spam them. I don't want to. You're not. They're on your email address. They're on social media. Like, I don't think you are, unless it's like a number of 10. But if you got 100 plus people, like you should be contacting them at least twice a week. The reason I say that is because you're not going to be top of mind. It's the same practice in theory, like with social media, right? When social media, I tell all my clients, post on stories daily. You have to post like 5 to 7 times a day. Why? It's because the only way your audience can see you, because they're following not just you, they're probably following 500 other accounts. So when you're posting daily, that means your stuff is sending to the top. Same with the email. If you're sending enough emails, your inbox is going to be, their inbox will be full of your stuff. So it's top of mind. And a lot of the times, like when it comes to securing deals, or you're finding your client, you're finding your customer, what they need, and at that specific time, or I'm sorry, you're filling a need and then you're timing it right. So a lot of like purchases are normally because you were top of mind. And, I always click on great emails. Like I know a lot of businesses are like, oh, I don't want to like give 20% off too much or whatever. It works. I click on all the sales. I'm a mid-30s consumer, I have tons of emails, but I still click on a good sale. Timing, when sending a campaign, you need to factor in the timing of the audience and what's happening in the world. So, let's say the real estate industry is naturally fairly low in terms of clicks, but because, let's talk about California, people are leaving California, okay? So if you are, it's like that means residents are looking at other properties. And because residents are like, properties are being snatched up really fast around the country, right? In Arizona and Idaho, you're going to want to know like what's happening there. You're going to want to know from that real estate agent pocket listings. You're going to want to know if there is another, if the listing that you were ready to, put cash down on or put a deal on was sold. You're going to want to know those things. So right now, I feel like the entire real estate industry in terms of mortgages and like loans and everything. I think those open rates are getting pretty high just because of the nature that we're in this economy. Doesn't happen all the time, but now's the time to really boost your real estate. That's why I work with Glendora, and there's tons of realtors there. They post so much content. They send so many emails, but it's all about secured deals, new properties, new listings, showings, open houses, and people are engaged with them. So, that's what I mean by timing. For example, next week is a long weekend, 4th of July. So do you have a 4th of July sale? Do you have your 4th of July greetings lined up? Do you have your 4th of July follow-up? Those are that's timing about what's happening in the world. Another thing to keep in mind are major events, right? So if you're a business and you're going to a conference, you put up the list, and even if you're not there, just be like, see you at this event. You're not going to be there. Just be like, see you at this event. Hey, name. Hey, John, I know you're going to be at this event. Would love to meet up with you. Oh, we can't? Let's just do a virtual meeting. You're never going to be there. But the fact that he knows that he was going to be at that event means you did your research and you're in the right industry. Therefore, you would make a subject line that's clearly compelling enough for John to open it. So that's what I mean by timing, personalization. So personalization is key. So have you received an email that says, hey, John, followed by a subject, right? So normally you'll be like, hey, Louise, your cart is empty. Hey, Louise, we thought you might like this. Just something that's tailored to the person or the contact that you're trying to reach. And clearly, people know that every single email is not going to be completely personalized to them. So for example, if you have a list of 2,000, right? If you have 2,000 people on your list, the beauty about constant contact is you can do insert data. So it goes, hey, insert name, insert company, right? And then so what happens is it inserts that company, and one of the best subject lines, it's company / your company meeting soon, follow up from working together. Hey, John, see you there. Let's set this up. It's kind of like the sense of urgency is oh my gosh, this person knows me. I need to click on this email. One of the things that I do for my clients is I immediately email them with the notion that we're going to set up a meeting. And then they open it thinking that there's a meeting to be set, but really it's a cold email. And most of the time they don't get irritated. I've never gotten an angry email back. If they're on a do not call list, definitely don't call them. But, they just do an unsubscribe or they don't respond. You're never going to really get backlash from just hey, follow up. They know, like I said, if they've given you your email address, they know what they're doing. Same with social media. And I'm giving some random social media tips here. If they're on social media and you're over posting content, it's not an issue. You know why? Because they're on social media. Social media is the most public thing you can do. And so if they're like, oh, I need privacy, it's no, you don't. That's social media. So that's just something to think about when it comes to personalization. So make sure you're tailoring your subject lines to events. Okay. So, hey, John, see you at this event. I can't think or something like, hey, looking for 4th of July decor, 4th of July deals, anything like that. Just personalizing that email in a subject line. Okay. The next one is, and this is in the body, right? So how would you personalize the email? Research. Okay. So for example, if they're a client that you really want to get, and this is not for the retail and restaurant ones, I'm just talking about B2B services for those of you in the B2B, or the dentistry or anything that's not a quick transactional thing. So for research is you want to make sure who you're writing to, right? So whether it's 1 email or 5 emails, you want to be hey, I know your company is expanding. I know your company is in the middle of this. I'm sure your company is going through this, or I'm sure in the industry, this is happening. Hey, John, I thought that you might be interested in knowing that this is happening, right? So I'm going to do multifamily industry just because that's the freshest in my mind right now. Just as an example, the eviction moratoriums are set to end, okay? And a lot of landlords and property managers are probably freaked out, like are probably pumped about it, but there's always like backlash from it, right? Because all this stuff, like you're going to owe money, or you're going to have to evict people, and you're going to lose out on that rent. So what I would do is be like, to the property manager, I'd be like, dear property manager, dear first name, I understand the eviction moratorium is set to end. I'm sure that's a sigh of relief, but there are still things you need to consider. I know our company can definitely help you with these elements. Please let me know if you'd like to schedule a call. You know, like it's you found a pain point, you found something that they know that they're thinking about. Or same with loans. Like I'm sure you guys have opened all the SBDC loans because you needed a loan, right? So their timing, so SBD's timing with their email marketing was always on point, because it's when all the businesses needed those PPP loans. So it's like status on PPP loan, update on PPP loan. Like those emails you were actively opening because of what you were going through at that time. So that's what personalization is, okay? Highlight mutual connections, or I'm sorry, so research, use their first name in the subject line. That's how you can like, hi, John. Highlight mutual connections. So referrals always work. It's like, hey, I learned from a friend, from a local business owner. They referred me to you, and I'd love to do business with you. If you're a wedding planner, Delia from Florals R Us connected me, said that you were the person to go to for all of this. And that's how you'd be able to start that conversation. Focus on pain points is something that I just mentioned above. And then repeat their name throughout the email so that they're like, oh man, this person's actually paying attention to who they're emailing to. And so whether your list is big or small, it always is really helpful to just repeat their name. So those are a few practices that I highly recommend in order to boost open rates. So we'll pause there because I definitely talked fairly quickly. So I'd love to answer any Q&As that anyone might have.
I've got my notepad here, Louise. I was taking my own notes because I know when we started this SBDC, email marketing was my first kind of go-to, and it definitely works. I'm a big believer. I think you get a lot more, I won't say bang for your buck, but you got a lot more tools to work with. And I mean, I like social media, and I grew to really be more of an expert in that area through my own business. But email marketing is like so cornerstone to, I think, your strategies and in different ways. But I mean, timing and frequency, personalization through, I think the biggest thing I took away from was segmentation. I often want to blast out my message as far and wide as possible because it seems like I'll get more bang for my buck. But if you take your time and go in with the scalpel, so to speak, versus, really target and make it personal, it takes more work, but it will work, versus sometimes something, the easy road. You gotta take the hard road. So, but also like what you said, staying top of mind. That's, I think, really email marketing helps us, at least at our SBDC. Just, be see and be seen. If you're, out of sight, out of mind, especially with this remote world, it's so easy to get lost in the shuffle and just completely forgotten about, even if you actually like the program or the people you signed up with. But I'm absorbing. And you asked originally, are you going too fast? We got a lot of comments to say no, but a great job. And Beck out there, thank you and everybody for commenting and engaging. We want to make this really about you. So with that vein of thought in mind, Josh just stepped away, so I'll come back to Facebook. But Sophia, do we have any questions right now on the Zoom?
Yes, we have a few. So one of the first questions from Chris is asking, what is recommended frequency for sending out emails to a list?
So I would say it depends on the size, right? So so one of the companies that I work with, I send out like 3 emails a week. And that's a list of 5,000. There's another list of 2,000 that I'm working with, and I send them emails 3 days a week with a reminder, with a final recap of everything they missed. So this is back to segmenting. So I'll send out, so for one list, it's 2,000 for this one. So I send 3 emails, 1, 2, 3. And then on a Friday, what I'm going to do is I segment them. So I'll be like, here's what you missed. And those are the people I send that full recap to are the people who have not opened any of the 3 emails that I sent from that week. And that's for that one. For restaurant industry, oh my gosh, you can send like 4 emails a week and they won't even know. Like they won't even, just because it's like, it's happy hour, it's Taco Tuesday, it's Wine Wednesday, it's Thirsty Thursday, hey, weekend specials, 4th of July specials. It's like, you've got to like just keep pushing it because, you know, with the other restaurant that I have worked with, I've sent like 4 or 5 emails a week just because it's so competitive. There's tons of restaurants and there's tons of things. And it doesn't hurt because like people are going to go to Yelp, people are going to Google Business. If they're not going to find it in their inbox, they're going to find the promos elsewhere. So, you know, if you're hitting them at all those areas, that's what I would do. With retail, same thing. You can be sending it. The thing is, I understand like the concern about exhausting your list. The only way you'll know you're exhausting is by how many unsubscribes you have. So if you have a list of 100 and 10 are unsubscribing, you're like, okay, my emails probably suck. Sorry, like, but like, that's a 10% list decrease. So, you know, be mindful of your unsubscribes. If you have a fairly decent sized list, you know, if people are unsubscribing once or like one, I wouldn't even take that into consideration. So I don't know if that answers your question, but, you know, I would start with at least like, depending on your product and service, I would swing for at least like once a week just to be top of mind, and then follow-ups.
All right. And thank you so much for that answer, Louise. Our next question is from Hannah. Should marketers develop a different plan of attack in their email content for selling goods versus selling services?
It's about, everything is based on industry, and like everything's based on industry and timing, like I said. So it depends on the goods, right? So, I mean, do you mind me asking what your industry is? Can I do that? Can I ask, Hannah?
Sure, yeah, Hannah,
Okay.
Feel free to type in what kind of industry or what you were particularly asking about, and we'll be happy to maybe come back to that question. Oh, she said that she's a creative writer and / editor.
Okay, so you're a writer editor. Okay, so, okay, this is what I would do if I were you. If you're a B2B, so you're clearly a B2B service. So that means you're working with small business owners, you're doing a lot of copywriting, you are essentially drafting up things for people, right? So even if people aren't looking for you right now, I would do, because I would say it's fairly niche, I don't know how your list is, but I would do like once a week or like once or twice a month check-ins with clients, right? Because I'm sure, like, I don't know how big your list is of people that you're contacting, but it's always helpful to like go in with some value, right? These are the biggest trends right now. Why you should beef up your content marketing as a writer and editor, right? So you're going like, this is why you need to update your website. This is why you need to update your social copy. This is why you need to update your product descriptions or something like that, like what copywriters do. One of the strategies that, and I'm trying to answer your question, but it's not like exactly like, how do I say this, explicitly answered, it's a strategy, okay, which can answer your question. So what I do with one of my other clients is I do industry news. So for you, just depending on industry or what type of writing, it's like for you, you would round up all like just current events or what's happening in the world of copywriting or something. You'd be like, these are the latest things I found that businesses are making mistakes on. Let me help you not make those mistakes. And you would have a call to action, clearly your signature. And that's how I would reach out to them in terms of your service. I would focus on industry trends, what they shouldn't be doing. Here are the top 10 mistakes you're doing as a business owner. Let's avoid that. I can help you avoid that. Clearly you don't want to sound too salesy, but when you have that, you won't come off as salesy if you have those valuable insights. So that's what I meant by research, right? You're researching like what's happening in the industry and why do you need writers? Why do we need editors? You tell me, right? So you tell, like, as a client to be, you'd be emailing me like, hey, Louise, your website sucks. Like, it's driving people away. Let me help you with that. And these are the 5 ways that I can help you. And it's like, let's schedule a consult, free consult, da, da, da. Does that answer your question, Hannah? I hope.
And I just want to mention too, after this webinar, feel free to call us. We'll be happy to schedule an appointment to speak with Louise to specifically talk about, you and your business, and create a strategy that fits best for you. And on to our next question. Oh, she said yes. Thank you so much. Our next question is from Beck. What are more strategies about building the list? We really seem to struggle with that.
Oh, I know, Beck. I know you too. So I have a list building strategy. I have tools and resources towards the end of this thing. But a few things is definitely, I think like we've talked about this, but like an opt-in on your, like a pop-up on your website. People are dropping in nowadays, right? For appointments and things like that. I know this is cheesy, Beck, and don't hate me for it, but raffles. So like, when you go to a restaurant, there's like a fishbowl and people just drop in their business cards. It's kind of like something maybe that you can do like when you partner up with a business and like you would put your fishbowl or vice versa and just be like, hey, like drop your business card in or your contact information in for a chance to win this type of thing, or a free consult or something like that. And that's how you would be able to collect it like in the what's it called? In the how do I say this? In the in-person run, but it wouldn't like massive. You wouldn't get that much emails immediately. Another one to reach people is, I don't like this, but it's something that is valuable, is having an email marketing newsletter through a really good publication. So like you would pay for an advertisement and they would send it out to their list and hopefully you would get responses through that. That's another way to collect emails. Another one is called list digging, and this is super like shady or whatever, but you can scrape email lists if you are doing the proper research. And there's a website in our tools and resources slide where you can use that, and it just helps you like capture those email addresses. So those are like literal tactics. It's not a strategy, because everything we do is a strategy, right? It's like we go to a farmer's market or we have an opt-in, that's a tactic. Build your email list is a strategy. The tactic would be an opt-in, like when you're like sign up for an email list, or you can do like a social media giveaway maybe, Beck. So like on your stories, it's like sign up for our email list for a chance to win like a packet of ear seeds. And the first 10 who drop their email gets this packet or something like that, to put their email addresses on. But those are like the tactics that I have on me right now.
All right, and we do have a few other questions. The next question is, how would you avoid being blocked by an email provider, example Google, if they found out you were sending cold emails to their recipients?
By not having terrible subject lines or just like overly salesy. There are some strategies like for example, don't write your email in all caps, okay? Or it just depends on the content. So just if you're reading it, or if you look at an email and you're like, okay, that's spammy, like chances are Google will naturally block you. So, read your emails out loud and maybe hire a content editor to be like, hey, this is my email. This is what my email marketing looks like right now. And she'll, Hannah will help you craft those email campaigns. And then she'll be like, this is how you don't sound too salesy or too spammy, because what happens is Google just naturally will weed it out based on like the writing style, the caps. If you're writing with all caps, or if you have too many links, or you have too many images, like those are the types of ways that they'll block you. But normally they won't. It'll end up in their promotions box until it ends up in their inbox. Because I know Google like recently, and by recently I mean within the year, they recently went like, inbox, promotions, and then there's like one more tab, how they separate your emails, or social, I think, right? Mm-hmm. And then, it'll end up in either one of those inboxes. And depending on your content, like I've had luck so a lot of like my restaurant emails ends up in promotions just because it purely is promotional, but it doesn't get blocked. So your goal is to end up in their inbox. And I think that's why we talk about personalization, because when you use personalization, like, hey, John, your company here needing follow-up, the chances of it landing in their inbox versus their promotion box is more likely.
All right. And we have another question. We're a community organization and we run a digest list of 6 events or activities to do in the neighborhood in our monthly newsletter. Should we gear newsletters to be more of a quick read or assume it may be the only spot they will tap into the information?
I would make it a quick read because once a month emails are easily forgotten. I mean, personally, I don't look forward to once a month emails. That means I have no life. So.
All right. And our next question, what email platforms do you recommend? ConvertKit, MailChimp, Constant Contact, etc. I know that you'll be speaking about that.
Yeah. So I'll just answer that question. It tools or resources like.
All right. And that's it for now on Zoom. And we don't have any other questions on Facebook. Thanks.
All right. Let's continue to best practices. So best practices for email marketing. Thanks for all the questions, guys. I hope I did answer your questions, Beck. I know some of them are not fancy, but those are some tactics that I have right now. Okay, these are practices that I use for my own clients. So everything, and keep in mind that everything I do is like, I'm not a secretive person. Like nothing I do is really proprietary. I mean, the content is proprietary, but in terms of the strategies and tactics, like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. And these are simple, and logical and common sense tactics that I definitely emphasize through everything. So experiment and deliver your emails through automation. Just because one email didn't work does not mean you don't send another one. Okay, there's A/B testing. Just send as much as possible, see what clicks, see what sticks, and then you can craft your emails around that, right? So an example would be, I work with a math tutoring company, and I send that crowd about three emails a week, and one of the emails that I was sending was like a tutor tip. So it'd be like tips from our tutors, and like these are what our tutors tip. Like these are the great tips. I got no traction from that. And that lasted, I ran that campaign for about 2 months. So I ran that campaign for about 2 months. I was looking at the open rates, from a list of 5,000 people, I was looking at, 8% open rates compared to my student success stories, which received, 20% open rates. So after 2 months of noticing that the open rates consistently stayed below 10, I stopped that. And I started shifting to another messaging campaign, and now success stories and testimonials do better. And that's what I do. So establish email frequency through automation. And we'll go through the tools, but automation is key. It's like set it and forget it. The same way you post on social media, if you set it and forget it, you're good. You're able to constantly schedule emails. You're able to look back at the reports, and you're able to figure out how you want to run your campaigns the next month. Give subscribers a compelling reason to click. So I understand that when it comes to the industry, it is a little harder to be like, this is why you should click that email. And I totally get that. But if you're retail, sales will always do it. Free shipping will always do it. Limited time LTOs, limited time only, offers, opt-in, rewards, things like that, that will give subscribers a reason to click. Okay. So when I say compelling reason, like I said, you have to reach those pain points. So back to the copywriter, I'm just gonna use your example because it's fresh in my mind, top of mind. You're giving your subscribers are not actively looking for a copywriter, but you're trying to get their attention by telling them they're doing something wrong, or there's something that they need, right? That's the thing with marketing. You're pretty much convincing someone that they need something. Around special dates. So like I said, 4th of July is coming up. Don't really know of any of the holidays in July. Summer savings. I know at the end of July, it's gonna be back to school. In terms of special dates, like I said, really research on the trends, really research on the industry, what's happening in this world, in the state, in this local city, things like that are happening. That's how you can capitalize on those special dates. Same with the conferences, same with the events. This is happening, things like that. Craft engaging subject lines. So, sometimes in the B2B service, or I would be following up from our last meeting, and then the person would be like, wait, we didn't have a meeting, but I'm pretty sure I should click on this because I don't want to miss on this meeting. They'll open it, they won't get mad, but that is an engaging subject line. Time it with your social media, your email, your social media, your other avenues, your in-person, all your marketing channels are different. They're different people, different times. So capitalize on everything. If you have something to announce that's big on social media, pair with your email marketing. If you have an email marketing campaign, blow it through your social media. That's why like all these places now give you an option like, do you want to share on social media? Allow people to opt in on your website. This is, like I said, like if you have a pop-up, sign up for 10%, sign up for a free consult, sign up for, for news and events, things like that. If they, and another point of thing is like, if they end up on your website, that means they're already interested in your service. So why don't you like capture their information while you can? Host a giveaway to collect email subscribers, reward your VIPs. So the people, and this is like where segmenting goes back in. So when you're looking at people who are constantly clicking, you're looking at people who are opening things, you're people who haven't unsubscribed, like those behaviors. It's like, hey, I noticed this list of 10 people are always clicking on my emails. I would like to get to know them more. Maybe send them a personalized email. Like maybe just be like, hey, Jacob, I see that you've clicked on my email, like the last 10 emails that I've sent to you, but you haven't done anything. What's the deal? Like, how can I help you? What can I, how can we move this further? How can I sell something to you? Because he's not unsubscribing, but he seems to be clicking. So you should be able, like when you use like a constant contact or a MailChimp, you should go and like be like, hey, these are my 10 leads, and then like nurture those leads. Don't take unsubscribes personally, it'll drive you crazy. Just something to keep in mind. Like I said, yeah, it'll be fine, you'll live. Tools and resources. So these are like my favorite things. For sending mass emails, I use MailChimp and Constant Contact and Vero. Wix is pretty decent. Klaviyo, I'm not familiar with. It's one of the better ones. They integrate basically with Shopify. But I love Constant Contact because it's so user-friendly. Like, you can pretty much get it immediately. It's a very simple dashboard. MailChimp is the same. MailChimp has better templates. Constant Contact is more user-friendly. So if you're a small business owner and you're just getting started, I would highly recommend Constant Contact. When you don't have the paid version, you're gonna have like a little watermark at the very bottom. But if that bothers you, then upgrade. But it's one of those things where it's going to help you with the metrics. It's gonna help you segment, it's gonna help you separate, it's gonna help you automate, it's gonna help you resend, it's gonna help you, you can see everyone who's clicked on your email, they send you their email address, and then you can be like, okay, I'm gonna email this person right away because, they clicked on, you see those metrics in the back end. And that's why you need these tools. You can't just use your Gmail anymore just because you don't know when they've read it, you don't know their behaviors, you don't know the patterns, you don't have any like times of days, you don't have open rates, you don't have percentages to compare to, you don't have, you're not able to compare how you did last month to the next month. And so those are like the sending emails. I really like Vero because it's more, but Vero's like, I don't know if there's anyone in tech here, but Vero's very, very, very like engineer tech heavy. So you need triggers and your events, but once you get the flow of it, it's a really cool tool. Wix is pretty good too if you're just starting out because it comes in with like when you build a website on Wix, you have these packages and it has the basics of what you need. So when you're ready to upgrade, I would highly suggest something like a Constant Contact or a MailChimp. For creating beautiful templates, Canva all the way. They have templates for you that you can customize, you can make your own, and then upload it as an image, link it out, and that's where they make their beautiful templates. Constant Contact, like I said, doesn't have the best, but that's why, I go on Canva to make beautiful templates there. Mail charts is one of my favorite things to scope out competition. So sign up for a free mail chart account, mailcharts.com. And so what happens is they show you the email journeys and the subject lines for a ton of different businesses in various industries. So I'm always on MailChimp seeing what competition's doing, and I have a free account and I'm able to like just grab inspiration. Like for example, they just show you like how many times Cheesecake Factory sends an email address. They show you how many times this tutoring company. They show you how many times like Birch product or all these companies are sending emails, what the body looks like, are they using graphics, what's their subject line, and you can kind of just like steal from them, okay? Like copying is the best thing. I call it, what's that called? Innovating, like you call it innovating, like you just imitate the best, right? So Definitely mail charts is great for just scoping out what your competition's doing, or like the big people and how you can kind of mimic their campaigns. To build your list, so it's called Get Emails, okay? And so what they do is they like scrape your ads. They scrape your, they scrape like data from ads. They scrape data from users, and it's a service that you have to pay for. But Beck, I think that may be helpful for you, especially if you're running ads in general, Facebook ads, Google ads. They're able to get that information, and that's what building the list is. That's like actual tools. Like it's a growth hack. It's a growth hacker approach. So it's like really tech savvy. It's like you just kind of put your information in it, and then they walk you through and how to collect email addresses. Gmail ads. So, you have at the very top of your inbox, tons of people get it. And I will like say that I have, I'm not the type of ad, I'm not an ad person, but I do open some of my ads because they are personalized to me. And that's how I'm able to get emails collected. That's how they're able to collect my emails, just because they're constantly retargeting through my inbox. And Upwork, this is where you would hire someone and they build list search for you. So, it's like, so if you're, a lot of the things that I recommend for a lot of my B2B clients, especially like who are just opening. So for example, there's pharmacy that just recently opened up its Dimas. And I was like, have you done any email marketing? And he's like, no. And I was like, okay, you need to build your list. What does that mean? Get on the chambers, go on, look at all the businesses that are around you and take those email lists like individually from each business. That is a lot of busy work. And that's why I recommend hiring someone on Upwork to do it. So they're scraping the lists for you. So when I say when I say build an email list, you're physically building an email list. You're physically going to www.smallbusiness.com and going like contact information. Okay, there's a phone number, copy and paste it into a Google Doc, and then uploading that entire list to your constant contact in your MailChimp so you can start marketing to them. So these are like the tools that I personally use for my clients. And those are pretty much it. Like these are the things that I swear by and the things that I, like to use in the day-to-day. Some I use more than others. Some I use like every so often when it comes to a major campaign and the budget allows, but like Upwork is so good. And then, like I said, there are shady ways to get lists. There are people out there who have no ethics. You pay them for your emails, that's what you get. So I'm not saying don't do it because it does work. So if you end up like, because we have to like, for my clients, like I hire Upwork people all the time to build lists. So like if they're working in a certain industry, they're always looking at the restaurants. You can find them through LinkedIn. You can find them through the websites. List building is like one of the most tedious tasks ever, but it's just something you got to do. So, and that's all I have in terms of the tools and resources.
Well, that's awesome, Louise. And I do know on the list building side, just be careful if you're adding people to your list with constant contact. We've been locked and frozen from have more than one person that reports you as spam. So, but that opt-in part, I think I really liked one of your slides there that said, don't take, unsubscriptions personally. And I used to, I'll be honest, we're in the circle of trust right now, right? And till somebody told me at an event one time, said email marketing is like, it's pull marketing. It's not push, like people opted into your newsletter. So you send them as frequently as you want. And if they unsubscribe, then that's just their way of saying, okay, I'm good. No, we're not friends anymore and I really like the website pop-up. We use that and it works. We get unsubscribes, but we usually nets out positive because then we get new subscribes from our own pop-up. And the other thing I took away was automation. Sounds super scary, but it isn't. I mean, I've really learned, like even resend, that is automation. There's so many words out there that you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like way technical. But like you just said, it's toggling a button on or off. Like, do you want to resend to this person if they haven't? A lot of these platforms made it super easy to do that stuff. And big believer in Canva. You'll be proud of us, Louise. We upgraded from the free version, and any nonprofits out there today watching, you can get Canva for free. Even if you're not a nonprofit, it only costs like $12, $13. I think it's like $12.99.
Yeah, and if you do it yearly, it's like $9. So
we're not that cool, but we'll get there. We've been doing it for the last couple months. And it's just phenomenal in terms of the other thing I wrote down. I got my list here. Planning around events. This email marketing isn't like hey, I'm gonna wake up today and just blast out. No, you gotta think about it, just like marketing. So I got so much good stuff out of this, and we try to practice what we preach here at the SBDC. Well, what I was going to say next was where are we at on questions? We got a little bit of time left. Josh, anything on Facebook? I'm not sure if you chatted me. Are we good there?
And one more thing. Sorry, one more thing around events is not just events, like what the trend right now, right? So this morning I was actually talking with my client, and I was really discouraged because I was like, no one's opening my emails. No one's setting appointments with me. And he's like, people are on vacation. And I'm like, oh, duh, right? People have lives. And so, that really resonated because I was just like, oh, right. Like, okay, well, for anyone in education, if you're not getting any clicks or interest, it's because the parents are literally taking their kids and their families and they're doing road trips and they're traveling. And they're like, I'm done with school for a little bit. I don't want to deal with this, But, if you're not capitalizing in July, you're definitely going to ramp up in August because people are going to start looking at. So make sure you're already planning your August, like back to school campaigns, because people are already planning it. If they're not getting any traction in June, July, they're going to start trickling in mid-July, because what happens when you walk into a Hobby Lobby or a Target? It's back to school in July. As soon as 4th of July hits, it's back to school. So, so don't get discouraged. And that's just something like I learned this morning, and it even reminded me. And when I say events, not just events, I'm talking about trends. So just understand that now is vacation time. So if you are in that space, this is what you should do on your vacation, right? These are the tips on how to, if you're a yoga teacher or a wellness thing, these are the way to maintain a healthy vacation style while you are traveling. How to make sure you don't have, how to stay hydrated if you're a fitness professional or while on vacation. I don't know, something that just tailors to what people are encountering like in their daily lives. Just wanted to, before I forget, like not just events, definitely the course of like people's daily living. All right, Q&As.
Sophia, that's all you.
All right, so we do have a question. Any podcasts you recommend to listen to for?
Not right now. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm more like of an email. I'm more of like an article person. So I research articles and people's, because I don't really, other than, what's his name? Blanking out. Other than that one guy who's like the main person. In fact, I know you know him. Oh my gosh. SEO, Neil Patel. Other than his stuff and SEO, like those are the ones that I go to. I don't really listen to any other podcasts other than, I don't listen to podcasts right now. Sorry, Beck.
Josh, you got any podcasts? I know you're big on the podcast stuff.
Yeah, if any of you guys have those resources.
Podcasts specifically for email marketing?
Or marketing.
Marketing, there's a bunch of different ones. The social media marketing podcast is really good for anybody getting into social. They do trends. If you're more lawyer centric, as a lawyer, Andy Stickle does podcasts for marketing specifically for lawyers. I saw people, Amy Porterfield or, Jay Schaefer, specifically for like Twitter. There's, there's a bunch of different podcasts for, passive income with, what's his name? That he did podcasting. So he basically does an podcast about podcasting.
I was going to say.
Yeah. But there's a bunch of them.
All right. And we have a couple questions, but they're very similar. So I'll just wrap them into one. Is it unprofessional to get emails off of the industry associations? I feel like I would benefit from my product. And what is your opinion on buying email addresses?
So that's where I was like, it could be a little shady, but it cannot be. So that's how people get email lists. So for example, like when you're buying an email list, it's technically the same thing as like, what is it? Like doing a direct mail campaign. Like the the company has a bunch of home addresses and then they do a direct mail campaign. My thoughts on shadiness is, how do I say this? Be very, 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 very like, so there was an event that we did. There was an event that we did. It was a major real estate event. And so we emailed the actual conference and we're like, hey, we'd like to buy the list. And it was a legit conference. And they're just like, okay, it's this much for a list. So it's not necessarily shady. It's just shady in the way that you market to them. So that's why I say, like, be very, very mindful of your subject lines, be very mindful of the body. And, you know, like I end up on so many lists, I don't even care, but it's like a weird gray line. It's like your comfort level. Because it's funny because the conference that we were a part of, that we bought the email list from, they were happy to sell their attendees list stuff there. So I'm not going to say like, don't do anything illegal, okay? But be mindful of where you're getting the list. So it's like, if it's like a shady like company, like it's based out of like, you know, somewhere it's like in like NorCal and you're just like, okay, I don't really know anything about this list. You know, look them up on the BBB, like make sure there's like no fraud complaints or anything. But you know, you've got to start somewhere. And that's why I highly recommend Upwork, because they're the ones who's able to, like, for example, Leonera, let's talk about architecture because that's where you're at, right? So what the person on Upwork can do is you pay them an hourly wage and then they're going to look up every single, organization in the city of San Dimas, let's say San Dimas. So architect firms in San Dimas, and they're just going to go down each single list, info at, David at, and they're just going to take that contact and then add it to their email list. That's how, and that's essentially how these people, so the reason like it's hard to say yes or no to buying lists is because sometimes they can be not valid emails, but it is a shortcut. It's just a shortcut. Are you willing to take, or do you just want to do the heavy lifting yourself? Because what's going to happen is if you do the heavy lifting yourself or vice versa, the shortcut, the first email you should send is not like an immediate sales pitch, right? It should be like an introducing myself. I want, you know, introducing myself. This is what I do. Hey, David, I know we've never met before, but I wanted to reach out to you because you know, we're both in the same industry and this is my product. And, you know, if you're ever interested in something like this down the road, please don't hesitate to contact me. That's not going to get spammed. Okay. That's not going to get spammed. It's more of just like you add 10,000 people immediately and then you just send out all these emails and they're going to block you. So it's all about robotic behavior, right? So if you're mimicking a robot, that's when you're going to get spammed. If you're not mimicking a robot, you're not going to, right? Because technically, like, I'm going to bring it back to social media. We used to do a like and engage campaign, like practice to build Instagram followers back in the day before Instagram decided it was spammy. So I would like 100 posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like me physically would sit on my phone and just like 100 posts. If I didn't change up my behavior in those liking, Instagram automatically like assumed that I was fake. So pretty much like if you're going to market to these lists, Leonera, if you for some reason get your hands on like 5,000 people at once, upload 500 at a time, contact them, and then contact another one, and then, you know, space it out. Don't just be like, there's a ton of them. And that's how you wouldn't come off as spammy or unprofessional, because your emails would be very, very personalized and they would be like valuable to the consumer. And this goes for anyone who has that question, like just be valuable, just be authentic, like, you know, try to personalize it to the best of your ability and don't just like mass spam them. If you get your hands on a list for the first time, don't immediately sell to them. Introduce yourself, like just be like, this is my company, you know? And I did that. We were able to curate a 500 person list, and, you know, I sent them an introduction email. Of course, they didn't opt into my email, my company, and but I emailed them with enough valuable information, and it was a sincere, like, I found your email, like, you know, like I'm introducing myself because I thought you'd be interested in this, because they're cold calls, they're cold emails. So, you know, just tread smartly. Just don't come off as a spam. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Louise. That's all the questions that we have. And like I mentioned before, if you want to schedule an appointment with Louise, feel free to give us a call. We'd be happy to assist you.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions at this time, I would like to give a warm round of applause for Louise Brewer.
Thanks, guys.
And I would be remiss, I put in the chat, if you'd like to join the SBDC email newsletter, please go ahead and click that link to join. You know, you got to practice what you preach, right? So, but like Sophia mentioned, you can always set up a one-on-one consulting via Zoom with Louise or anyone on our team for all of our clients out there to help put into practice some of the things we've talked about, because we did cover a lot today. But that's it for today. I know we were a little over on time, but I want to say thank you so much for joining us for today's show, Why Email Marketing is Still King. Join our email newsletter so you can stay up to date on all of our newest and latest workshops and webinars to help improve your business. So for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great one, everybody. It was good seeing you back in Leonera and Whitney. Thanks, guys.